Hi, I'm Mash Ponigala, brand strategist at Spellbrand. Welcome back to the series on the hero's journey. In this series, we're talking about the hero's journey and how it aligns with your audience journey for your brand, for your business, how to create emotional bonds using this story framework, and of course, what to do in terms of your messaging and so on. We're talking about the second step of the hero's journey, which is the call to adventure. Now, the call to adventure is also known as the inciting incident, right? It's the main event that gets the story going. This is where the hero, like in the first step, are in their ordinary world and they become aware of an adventure. They're called to an adventure. And in terms of your audience journey, your audience becomes aware of a pain point, of a problem that they have that they need to solve in their lives. And that problem, of course, relates to your product or service. Now, people have lots of problems, right? So we're not interested in all the problems that they have, but problems and the worldview related to how your product or your service can solve. Think of it as the moment that your customer realizes that they have a problem, all right? That they have a problem and they need to solve that problem. And in terms of movies, if you look at Lord of the Rings, Frodo, the call to adventure comes from Gandalf, right? So Frodo in the Shire is just living his life out, and then Gandalf comes to the Shire. He comes there for a celebration, actually, but Gandalf realizes that there is an evil ring, and the evil Lord Sauron is looking for that ring. And Bilbo Baggins has the ring. So he gives that ring to Frodo and says, keep it safe, keep it hidden till I come back. I need to go and research about this and I will be back. So that is the first call to adventure. So this is the first time that Frodo is brought out of his ordinary world, realizes this bigger world out there, that there's something wrong with this ring. Of course, he doesn't understand it. He doesn't know the full extent of that problem. If you look at Star Wars, for example, the call to action comes to Luke in the form of R2-D2, right? The droid. And Luke is trying to fix R2-D2, and a holographic message plays out. It's Princess Leia. And she says, help me, Obi-Wan. And C-3PO tells Luke that he must take this message to Obi-Wan. Now, call to adventure, it's usually not just one step. Of course, there's one main call to adventure, but in a hero's journey, even the audience journey, there could be mini calls to adventures. Of course, there's this inciting one, the big one that actually sets it in motion. But throughout their journey, there could be small calls to adventures. And the same goes with your audience journey too. He keeps that, for example, the first call to adventure is keep the ring. Gandalf goes away, and then he comes back after a little while, and a second call to adventure. He says, Frodo, you gotta take this ring. You gotta get out of the Shire, right? Take it, and then he talks about an adventure that he needs to take it somewhere to save the world. So that is call to adventure. In case of The Matrix, the call to adventure comes right off the bat. They introduce Neo on his computer screen, a series of messages. It's Trinity sending him messages over the internet. It says, follow the white rabbit. That is his first call to adventure. And then there's a knock on the door, some customers of Neo who are there to buy some kind of software. And then one of those customers, right, a group of people, a girl, has a tattoo of a white rabbit on her shoulder. So Neo sees that and he knows that that is the call to action. There's something happening. How could someone on the screen tell him to follow the white rabbit? And he sort of gets into. So that is the kind of inciting event. It's the first event that sets the ball in motion. In terms of your audience, this call to adventure, of course, they realize that they have a problem and that they need to solve it. And their awareness of this problem increases in this call to adventure kind of step. So that now they're realizing, yeah, I need to solve this. They don't know that they need to buy the product or whatever service from you. They probably don't even know that they need to pay for it, but they have this kind of inkling, right? That their awareness is picking up. What is the action step? So in the first step of the hero's journey, audience journey, the ordinary world, you've created buyer personas. what about the call to action? What can you do to kind of call your audience onto the journey? This is about introducing your client or introducing your audience to the possibilities of that, whatever problem that they have. Not about your product, not about your service. This is not sales step. A lot of brands jump in, they try to sell at every step. But that does not work. And that's why there's so much noise in the marketing world. And that's why consumers filter out all this noise. They don't care. That's why brands pump in thousands of dollars for Facebook advertising, Google AdWords, or whatever. They get very little return on investment. And a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of brand owners, if you ask them, is social media working for you? They say, no, social media does not work. Social media is a fad, because they've lost money. But that's because they're putting in money in the wrong stages. They don't understand their audience journey, and they're trying to sell at every single opportunity. No, sales is only 20% of the audience journey. 80% is building a relationship with your audience. It's about building a bond. And you do that by helping, by educating, by providing answers to your audience. This call to adventure here is about increasing the awareness of your audience, making them more aware of the pain points. It's about focusing on those pain points and making your audience aware. For example, we look at MySpace. Okay, I know a lot of people watching this video might be like, what the hell is MySpace, right? So MySpace once upon a time was the Facebook of the internet. It was quite dominant, and then it lost its footing to Facebook, and then it got obliterated, right? But recently it's made a kind of a resurgence. So what MySpace realized was that they needed to focus on the customer pain points. And so they're now focusing on the music crowd, right? So it's the music talent, it's musicians, it's singers, so on and so forth. And their platform is really targeted towards that. And if you go and look at their website, you will see that their kind of call to action is really setting, it's not about buy this or buy that, but it's setting them on their journey. Another example we could take is the camera world. And if you look at Leica, kind of call to adventure for Leica, for their target audience, is to say, enjoy photography. They're trying to say, enjoy photography. And it's all about how photography can change your life, how you can derive joy out of photography. It's got nothing to do with their cameras. It's not how great their cameras are. It's not buy our cameras, but it's about wake up and smell the coffee, right? Wake up and get into this world of photography. Enjoy that. That is actually the call to adventure. It's really a very important step for your audience, for your brand. So don't mess this up. Don't sell in this step. You can look at these steps individually, out of sequence, or you can look at them sequentially, right? You can take them in a sequence. So let's say you're just looking at this individual. Let's say you're already a business. Is your audience in this step? You will always have audience on all the steps of this journey. You'll have some audience still in the first step, right? They're in the ordinary world. Then you have some audience in the call to adventure. This is where they've realized their problem. So your messaging needs to be split into all these. And you might decide, okay, let me come up with a campaign just to target my audience who are just waking up, right? They're just realizing that they have a problem. And what is the messaging that I can do? Not to lead them towards your product and service. I repeat this because it's very critical. It's about building the bond, right? So see, how can you introduce yourself into that call? How can you make that call, give that call to adventure? So that is call to adventure. The next step is the refusal to call to adventure. That is in the next video. I'll see you in the next video.